Tony Datino. Last 80-degree weather here in the Orlando, Windermere, Florida area, and had a chance to put one of my t-shirts on and just kind of. So, good evening and Happy New Year to those that have not heard me last week. It's my Monday evening report, and God, it almost felt like it was a Tuesday today for some reason, but it's Monday, so I want to be on and do this. And what I wanted to talk about tonight were the plans that we have for 2022, at least the plans that we're hoping to be able to execute this year if all goes well with COVIDs and pandemics and who can come on. So the very first thing I want to talk about is we do have our first official meeting of the USA Memory team this coming Friday. And the first thing we want to lock in and talk about is doing a virtual qualifying event for the first part of the USA Memory Championship in 2022. It will be our 23rd year, which is amazing that if I think about the 22 years of memory championships and the different stories that have come from it, it's just been amazing. So we have a meeting this coming Friday, and what we're hoping to do is lock in the virtual event that we'll do with the combination of our dear partners of Lumosity and Memory Games. We want to lock that in for July 30th. And this way people have a chance to get themselves ready for competing on the virtual events, similar to what we did this past year. We may alter or change those games that we played, but basically virtually, since we're still in this crazy world of vaccines and no vaccines and who's well and who's not well, and obviously safety and the concern of our mental athletes and how we assemble people is a priority to us. Start posting that up on our website, and we're hoping to have that announced and official by the first week of February. So those are our plans for the qualifying events. And again, anyone can participate in them if they're it has to be 14 because of the nature of the games that we have, 14 years or older, and that should go out by the first week of February. Now that brings us to where we want to then do the finals. So this year, what we were very fortunate to have is the Rosentown Square was hosting it live here in Orlando, Florida, and we had Full Sail University College that was able to come in with their media students and do a class project that got a fantastic video coverage of it, which we're now breaking apart so we can put that onto our website. You can look at segments of it. And we're looking at October. So we're looking at the early part of October for 2022 for taking the people that come through the qualifying rounds and move on to the finals, which we want to do live. And we're not sure if we're going to do live at MIT or we'll be doing live back here in the Rosen Center in Florida based on the question marks around where are we in terms of our healthcare and our COVID and all of the different things that might go on that we have to consider, respecting the fact that people have to travel, and is it safe for them to travel, and is it a good thing to be able to get people live. That's our plan. Now we'd like to get people live for the final event, and this year we'd love to be able to open it up to spectators. I know when we did it in 2021, we had a lot of requests for people that wanted to be able to attend. Family members of the mental athletes that actually competed. So we had a reasonably interesting crowd of people that were really enamored and really engaged in watching the competition, which made it somewhat lively for the mental athletes. But we had an opportunity of putting hundreds of people into the auditorium where we held it at the Rosentown Square. and we just couldn't do it. We just didn't feel comfortable. Even at the end of October, we were still concerned about COVID, and we were a little bit ahead of ourselves in being proactive in terms of what was happening with COVID, even at the end of October here in Florida. And of course, MIT was still restricting any non-school activities from being on their campus, so we didn't go there, which then was similar to Pennsylvania. So now, that brings us to 2022, getting the qualifying events done at the end of July. It gives the mental athletes all of August and September to practice some of the things that we would plan to do that we call long-term memory, where we give them different categories of long-term things that they have to study, and we give them 30 days and that data, and then they have to use their memory techniques and mnemonic systems and things and skills of sorts, and then we give them 30 days to practice those skills and apply it. Then what we would do is 1st of September, we would give the mental athletes what that information is, and we just have not, at this point, we've not settled on what those categories would be for the 2022 events. If all that goes well, then we've at least accomplished what we want to do with the USA Memory Championship, and we are getting a number of requests already of people asking us when will we be hosting and holding that, and where will we be doing the finals. We've had some media folks that want to post these dates in their media publications, and these are the annual books that go out on events throughout the year. So we want to get this information out to people as fast as we can, but God, having to deal with the Omicron variant of the virus and wondering, is there another one, and where can science help us? So we're all watching and listening and talking to different people, trying to then pull the team together to say, what is the best thing that we can do for safety and for the event and the competition. As we're learning more and more in the world of sports, people are basically in the sports world saying, okay, we've got to figure out how to live with this. It's going to stay with us. So how do we continue to move forward, recognizing the challenges that the variants may pose to us? And then, of course, this year we're also dealing with the flu season. So we've got double hits, but we want to always be, to me, it's always important to be safe and smart for the mental athletes, because they are the ones that have the encouragement and the enthusiasm to be able to compete in the memory championship. So, and then we've had some conversation of maybe altering some of the games and bringing in some new events to it. So these are all of the we're going back through, we're going to be making some improvements to the Maximum Memory Mastery online course. So that's on the agenda for February, to get back in there and make some improvements to the maximum memory. And then obviously for those of you that have already subscribed to that, you'll automatically get those updates in the release that we do in 2022. But that has been really good stuff, and that has really been a big help to us in terms of the feedback we've gotten and the changes that we'll make to that to make it even better. And anybody that has gone through that already can go back through it again and see what, we'll point those changes out and let people go back and see what those were and help them improve. As well as we offer, people to take them through that in a 1 hour one-on-one opportunity. So the Maximum Memory Mastery is there. It's a summary of 20 years of the best techniques and skills that people have used in the events. And if you want to become a mental athlete, we tell people this is a great opportunity for you to learn how to do that. That will be complemented this year. We're close. I thought it would be done by the end of this week, though we're making some further modifications to a new course called The Elements of Cognitive Fitness. And so that is going to be, I'm excited. Maximum Memory Mastery. It will have the elements of cognitive fitness, and it will have how to become a super learner. And so through the 2 years of Maximum Memory, we've had a number of different requests of people who have come in looking for different elements of what more can we do to help them in their education, in their professional lives, in their personal lives, worry about dementia and worry about Alzheimer's. And so it is really from the Maximum Memory has been an outgrowth of two additional online courses, and we'll package those up and offer a really good package opportunity for people to go through maximum memory and the elements of how to improve your memory to the elements of brain health and what are the things that you need to know about in terms of really having a good, strong opportunity of maintaining cognitive fitness throughout your life. And we're constantly reading and researching and studying and interfacing with the folks that are working with the study that Michael Dattino is currently underway with, which includes Columbia, MIT, Princeton. And we hope to have those three out by the middle of the year. So we'll have the maximum memory revised by February. We're going to have the elements of cognitive fitness ready to go by January. And then we'll pick up the elements of how to become a super learner, which is all coming from requests and information that Michael Dattino has been working on with various people that he's been consulting with and working with over this past year. To that, Michael is a lead facilitator of a new workshop that the Rosen Center is actually sponsoring here with the Dr. Phillips YMCA, and that is all about Brain Fitness Academy. And this is for people with early evidences of dementia that want to be able to do as much as they can in their lives to be able to minimize, at least in the early onsets of dementia, some of the impacts and symptoms that has. And so Michael has been graciously awarded the responsibility to lead that for the Rosen Center. And that ties so much in what he's doing with the Brain Fitness Academy, which will be launched in February. There's so much there that will be connected to what he does in the elements of brain health. The two are they're like gloves that fit together and make a whole package of what needs to happen. So this is for those, the elements of brain health would be for those that want to avoid going into the early signs of dementia. And then he's got, hey, you've got a spouse or someone you care about dearly, here's a workshop that will help you to at least minimize that. And that'll be 2 days a week that he'll be running that. So I think that's a wonderful thing. And of course, he's into the first year of his scientific grant that has been, how does he take some of these memory mnemonics and techniques and teach them to college students? And that's a project over 3 years. Columbia is the main host of that, Columbia University Neuroscience. MIT and Princeton are council members on the board that review that work and certify it and bless it and say, yep, this is sound science, it's solid research, and here's how it's doing. And Michael just finished his first group in the for winter semester and now is getting ready for the folks in the spring. I call it spring, February group. They're lining that up to start with February. So he's got his hands full in a very positive way with doing some really terrific things that bring the things that I have talked about for years, and that there is so much more we can do with our brain health than we ever thought possible. And we're learning more and more about it, and I'm reading more about it. I think we may have been ahead of our time, but that's not relevant. If we're in the right time, then it doesn't matter whether we were ahead, middle, or end, but we're in the right zone as it relates to these things. So those are some of the highlights of where we're going in the year 2022. And I'm looking forward to seeing our team of members, our team of people, clients, friends that really get and understand the value of this and want to partake in some of these things, to jump on board. And as I've said to people, I still like to keep things personally. I fit them into the schedule where I can fit them in, and that is to send me personal emails, and that's at dottino@aol.com. And that makes me a little bit old. I stay with AOL. I've had it for years, and I don't want to give it away. So I keep doing AOL. So it's dottino@aol.com. And if anyone wants to send me personal notes, I do get them, and I do respond, and I do work to help people with the questions and the issues they bring up in those emails. So that's my passion. That's what keeps me going. As you can tell, I'm getting a little bit older, but I still have the passion for doing the things that really help people access the power that we have that sits up in here. And I did spend some time today at the American Space Museum here in Titusville, as I live in an area where I can see these rockets that they launch. And as I went through the exhibit of the museums today, I look at the mental capacity of these people, these engineers, these statisticians, these people that understand nutritional habits and thinking habits, and reading the exhibits of what different experiments these different men and women have engaged in during their space shots. It is absolutely mind-blowing that we have people with those thinking capacities and that types of creativity. And my goal is to expand that populace. I want to expand the populace of people that can find the joy in their life, that can find the passion of something that really motivates them to be the best of who they can be. And those are the elements that keep me going. And that's what's kept me going through 22 USA Memory Championships, and will keep me going for as long as I'm around and able to breathe. So with that, have a good evening, and we'll back on Wednesday. Boy, I just hope the days would only slow down a little bit, but I'll be back in on Wednesday night, and have a good week. And let's keep the new year off and keep it running on a good foot.